This is Frank Nieto with Vision Quest Auto, and today I'm reviewing one of the cars that I've been looking forward to doing a review on the most, and that is this car. This is the Toyota Grand Highlander, and one of the reasons why I've been looking forward to this review so much is because one of the cars that I've been recommending for years to people who ask me what three-row SUV they should get has been the Toyota Highlander. Now, the Highlander is still a great vehicle, but it's been facing a lot of competition the past few years, past 5 years or so. And it's come from, namely, the Kia Telluride, the Hyundai Palisade, Volkswagen Atlas, and the Jeep Grand Cherokee L, and the Jeep Wagoneer and Grand Wagoneer. In addition, you still have strong competitors like the Chevy Tahoe and the Ford Expedition out there, as well as the Lincoln Navigator. Now, they all offer different advantages and disadvantages, but Toyota decided to up their game when they're facing this kind of competition, and that's where this car comes in. The Grand Highlander is basically the Highlander, but, well, grander. Now, how does it stack up to the competition? Well, let's find out. The hybrid version of the Toyota Grand Highlander is actually the most powerful version. In its top max version, it gets 362 horsepower with 400 pound-feet of torque delivered. All of that is to say it's a really powerful vehicle. It also gets about 27 miles per gallon combined. As you can tell, it has a pretty small footprint from the outside, but inside it's pretty massive. Let's show you here. It's got really nice interior materials. It's leather trimmed. It's got a heated steering wheel. I'm not a fan of the placement of this, but it's something you get used to. It's fine. The steering wheel is really nice. It feels great. Shifter is a little quirky, but it's fine. The seats are fantastic. They're leather trimmed with ultra suede interior. This is really cool. They have a sunshade included. This is really nice for your little ones or just regular passengers in the back. It's always nice to have sunshades, and it's cool that they're standard here in this version. The second row seats have their own climate control function, as well as heated and ventilated seats, which is really, really cool. It also has USB-C charging and a household style outlet. As you can tell, there are cup holders galore there. There's two and a cubby. There's also room for your larger water bottles in the door pockets, which is pretty fantastic. The front row has room for 3 cups, which is pretty unusual. There's the 2 standardized cup holders, and then there's a third that Toyota says is large enough to handle a mega cup. Mega cup sounds super cool. Mega cup is not included with this car. I'm not quite sure what the mega cup is. I'm assuming it's probably something like a Yeti or a Stanley mug, but pretty cool. Again, mega cup sized. Job. Here's how you get into the third row. You just use that little shifter and you climb back here. It's very easy to get into the back. Again, there's a lot of room here in the third row. You can see everything up front from back here. You have cup holders and charging ports, so it's really, really nice. So, some of the things that I really like, I think that the main pro that I have for the Grand Highlander is it's just thoughtfulness. Everything that it does. This is just takes everything that was great about the Highlander itself and it ups the ante here. You've got leather trim, you've got every kind of feature that you can imagine. You've got, this is something else that's pretty cool that you don't see in other Toyotas that I really have noticed before. You've seen this in GM cars, you've seen this in Land Rovers. It's becoming more and more ubiquitous in vehicles. But this is one of the first times that I've seen this in a Toyota, and it's the rear view camera, which comes in handy in something this size. See, you've got your general camera there, rear view mirror there, but you flip it, and now you've got that unobstructed camera view. It's really nice to have with a third row SUV because, frankly, sometimes you're further away um, from the rear of the car because it's longer. You also will have occupants and not just the second row to try to see out that rear window, but the third row. So when you get this kind of camera, it's really pretty helpful. And it's a bit of a surprise to me that Toyota was including this, and it's pretty handy. Now, one of the other things that I think that Toyota has done a great job with is that third row seating space. That's not just a place where you put the kids at. It's also a place where adults can sit and sit comfortably. And they'll be able to have their cup holders. They'll be able to have their chargers. So it's really nice job back there. The other great thing that Toyota has done is that when you have everybody out there in the second and third rows, that you're going to still have a decent amount of storage space, which is not always the case with third rows. A lot of times when you put that third row into use, there's no real place to put any cargo. So you might be going to a baseball game, but you're going to have your equipment in in another cargo area or back in front of the kids, feet. So really, really good job. I really appreciate that. My number one pro that just so much space from Toyota. Close second for me after all of that storage space is the hybrid system. It's a really nice feature that Toyota's gone out. This is a bigger vehicle. It's a third row vehicle. It's it's a big vehicle, and it's still getting good mileage with that hybrid system. It's also getting that nice pickup. It has pretty instant torque. It's a really good system. Connected to that though is my fat guy and little coat category here, and that winner is the braking system for the Grand Highlander. And there's nothing wrong with the brakes by themselves, but the reason why I'm saying it's a fat guy and little coat winner is it doesn't quite fit with the car, and that's because this is a hybrid system. Generally speaking, when you have a hybrid system, you get the regenerative brakes. And those regenerative brakes tend to be a little grabby, meaning that they're a little bit more firm when you tap them compared to not regular cars, but to other cars. So it takes a little bit of an adjustment when you get into a hybrid or an EV. Now, Toyota tried to fix this by making these brakes not feel the same as what you would have in most other hybrids. However, I was a little bit, and maybe this is just me because I've driven so many hybrids, I've driven so many EVs over the years that maybe I was just an expectation. But I found the brakes to be, or not just found, I find the brakes to be a little bit mushy. There's nothing wrong with that. You'll get used to it. I mean, it took me, maybe driving a block or so to really get used to that. It takes a little bit more of a push down on the pedal to get that braking. Your stopping speed, your stopping range, you might need a little bit more, maybe an extra car length before you come to a complete stop. The braking system is nothing bad. It just doesn't quite feel the same. It's one of the few cases where I actually wish that maybe they were a little grabby though. So that's my fat guy in little coat. Not a bad one though. So our next category here is, what song is this car? And I had two choices in mind for this. The first one was The Police's A Power Trio. We're coming back to that. The Police's Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. And the reason why I was thinking this is every little thing that this Grand Highlander does is pretty magical. It gets great mileage for its size. It has every kind of luxury and tech feature you can imagine. Now, again, this is the Platinum version, so it is a high level, but still has everything there. It's not a massive SUV by any stretch of the imagination, but you get a ton of passenger space in the back, especially in that third row, which is very surprising when you look at the outside. You would not expect to have a good amount of space in that third row for an adult, and yet you do. And of course, the second row seats have a ton of space as well. The front row seats are incredibly comfortable. But beyond that as well, you still also have a good amount of cargo room when you have the third row up. Again, not always the case. It seems pretty magical. Now, that was that seems like a pretty solid winner for the song. But there's one other one that I'm going with, and this is a little bit of a personal one, and that is the love theme from the Breakfast Club. And that's because, frankly, I love this vehicle. Like, I just gotta say straight out, I love the Toyota Grand Highlander. It is one of the best SUVs I've driven in a long, long time. And I've driven a lot of great ones, but I just love this. And for those of you who may not know the exact scene where that song comes in, it is, of course, after Ali Sheedy does, she's playing the original goth girl in that movie. She does her transformation to try to win over Coach Bombay. And of course it does, because she's Ali Sheedy. So, just like that, she was already awesome. And, the Highlander was already awesome. And Toyota just, gave it a little makeover with the Grand Highlander, made it its own thing. It's amazing. And there it is. Love theme from the Breakfast Club. Who is this car made for? Well, obviously it's a three-row SUV. And with that in mind, three-row SUVs tend to be made for families. And really, that's what this is. I mean, you can be a single person and get a three-row SUV. I'm not going to judge you. Somebody else may. But, I don't know where you're going with all that stuff. Maybe you're a baseball coach. Maybe you're a, soccer coach. I don't know. But this is really made for families, and it does a fantastic job. It's got all the room you'd want. It has plenty of pickup. It has a great all-wheel drive system. All right, to wrap this up, I'm going to score this on our Vision Quest Auto rating scale. And our rating scale this week is Power Trios, because this is a three-row SUV. 3 is the magic number. There's one other power trio that this car is being rated on, and that is the BBC. And it is not the BBC from England. It is the BBC from Madrid, specifically Real Madrid, specifically the greatest strike force in soccer or football history, and that is Cristiano Ronaldo, Karim Benzema, Gareth Bale. Benzema, Bale, Cristiano. That is the BBC. Together, those 3 players won 4 Champions Leagues. They had the sheer brilliance of Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the greatest soccer players of all time. He could score, he could do assists, he could do everything on the soccer pitch, with the exception of tracking back, but that's okay. You had Gareth Bale, who was capable of sheer individual moments of brilliance. Just ask Liverpool when he came off the bench to score 2 goals in the Champions League final to beat them. 2 amazing players, but arguably the glue that held them all together was Karim Benzema, who took a step back to make sure that Bale and Ronaldo could shine, and he was able to do so much of the dirty work. He would drop back. He would receive passes deep, pass them on to Ronaldo and Bale to get in there. He didn't get as many goals. He still got a good amount of goals, but he didn't get all the goals that he could have gotten until Ronaldo and Bale left Real Madrid. And then Karim Benzema came out and had a season of sheer brilliance where he won his 5th Champions League title without those 2 and won his first Ballon d'Or. And just like that, this somewhat underappreciated brilliance has been the Toyota Highlander. But now, when you step out there and you see, the Highlander has been brilliant for years, but maybe seen more as workmanlike in some ways by people. You have the Grand Highlander, and this is Karim Benzema's Ballon d'Or season. This is the very best version that you will ever find of the Highlander. It is the Grand Highlander, and that name is very fitting. So to wrap things up, I want to thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. We're on all social media platforms, and we're always happy to answer any questions you may have. Um, so again, I'm Frank Nieto. This is Vision Quest Auto.